The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
It's a Short Time Wrestling Podcast, episode 489. My name is Jason Bryant. Got a short episode for you today, but it's an interesting one. You got an interesting story from Jeff Lester, the 125-pounder from Liberty University's club program. I'll just say I'm bearing the lead on that because I want you to get to the particular episode to talk about why a man at his age is wrestling at not the college level, but it is a college program. Liberty does have a club team. They did cut the varsity status a number of years ago. They did retain the coach, and they do kind of fund it from the club sports situation. But why a guy who is closer to 100 than he is 0 is wrestling, and why he did it out at the Virginia Duels. This show, news, reviews, previews, and interviews. I am recovering from my 23rd Virginia Duels, and I don't mean it because it's a wrestling hangover. I got pretty sick out there. I was not in a good place when it comes to wrestling tournaments, and you can kind of figure out where that might be. But I did get to see some really good wrestling action. All the results available at virginiaduels.com. You can go back and check out those videos on trackwrestling.com if you picked up that pay-per-view, which was great. Track Wrestling, Ryan Schilling, doing a good job helping us out down there, as did Solomon Duncan, who comes up from North Carolina to do the tournament software. Of course, the hundreds of volunteers each and every year at the granddaddy of them all. No trademark necessary or copyright for the Rose Bowl. I don't care. Whatever. Sue me. The granddaddy of them all, as far as dual meet tournaments go, the Virginia Duels 39th edition came and went at the Hampton Coliseum. Good times there. Had a couple of interesting shows out of there. Matty Shasau, who was the last guest here on the Short Time Wrestling Podcast, and then had one with some couple of my friends, and had a chance to run in some roommates from Old Dominion back in the day. We did a podcast for the OD Wrestling Monarch Mattcast with Jesse Pierce, Matt Small, and Donald Motley, 3 former Old Dominion alums coaching in just the Southeastern District alone. One of my former roommates, Ben Summerlin, also, he is coaching in the Southeastern District at Hickory. He lost his voice. He wasn't able to be on the show. And I coach at my alma mater at Poquoson High School in Virginia, also an alum of ODU. And then did a Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling show, talking to another area native, BC LaPrade, after he had a pretty big win against Larry Early of Old Dominion in the semifinals of the National College Division, and head wrestling coach Tony Roby. So we did an Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling. Now we have another short time from it. But before I even get to that, a couple people came up and said hi, that they listened to the show. Mike Chase, wrestling official down in Carolina, he says, yeah, I do a lot of driving for my job, listen to it. And Mike Conley, referee, who is from actually one of my rival high schools at York High School, and it's probably a 10-minute drive from Poquoson, 12-minute drive. He was down in South Carolina now, referees down in South Carolina, says he listens to the show. So I'll give you guys, you came up to me at the Virginia Duels this weekend, said you listen to the show. So thanks, guys. So both named Mike, both in Carolinas, both listen to the show. And Mike Conley, that's a name I have not, I hadn't seen in a long time. So good to see Mike back on the mats at the Virginia Duels. Oh, what other things from the Duels? Let's see, seafood, check. Cowbells, check. Good hospitality room, check. Best hospitality room in the nation, check. Snow, yeah. Traveling, getting back, not that terrible. But other than that, pretty uneventful in terms of drama as the Virginia Duels go. Just a great event. We've got the 40th coming up next January 10th and 11th. Going to work on some things of making that thing work out, get that college field back up to 16 teams. But that's really all I got for you to kind of lead into this episode. So I just want to get to the episode with Liberty University 125-pounder Jeffrey Lester and his interesting backstory here's the hook. He's 52 years old. You're going to want to listen to this on Short Time. Now here at the Virginia Duels with Liberty 125-pounder Jeff Lester, West Virginia native, who at the ripe young age of 52 years old, you might be the best in shape 52-year-old person in the world right now.
I kind of doubt that because I lose my wind very quickly sometimes.
But, okay, so we're out there. We're looking. It's like, man, that guy, he looks a little older. I was like, okay, well, it happens. And then we start asking around. Tell me, how did you get back on the wrestling mat? I mean, you wrestled at Liberty in the 80s when Coach Castro was an assistant there. I mean, just kind of walk us through the story.
Absolutely. Well, it was a blessing wrestling for Coach Castro, but 84 to 88. But in year 88, I lived a lifestyle that I was ashamed of, and I didn't want to face my teammates or my coaches again, so I didn't use my last year of eligibility. And I wanted to come back and make things right, be a blessing to my coaches, be a blessing to my teammates, and uplift them and encourage them and help make them better men, hopefully.
So for the last, 30 years, what have you been doing?
Last 30 years, for 15 or so of them, I was chasing the almighty dollar, and that was a struggle for me. And I would have limits of success, and then God would hit me in the knees and knock me back down. Then I embraced, had an opportunity to coach, and that's what God designed me to do. I coached Pikeview High School wrestling in just outside of Princeton, West Virginia, and I've had some good success there. Worked with Coach Castro at his wrestling camps for the last 8-9 years, and now I'm just taking a little hiatus to do what God's told me to do.
So, the NCWA, where Liberty competes, is a club, but they still have eligibility requirements. You're in grad school, right? Working on your master's. And, when does the idea come in? I mean, who brings this up? Is it Jesse? Is it you? I mean, is it somebody joking around at dinner after a camp session? I mean, things like this don't just pop out of thin air.
In my life, things like that do. I've had this on my mind for no less than 10 years. When Liberty University got their program back because they had lost it, they were Division I, and the vision came to my mind, and I started researching eligibility 10 years ago. I talked to Coach Castro about it 2 or 3 years ago. And just circumstances of life have given me the opportunity to do it now. So I jumped on it.
We've seen you out there. I mean, you did take a forfeit victory, and you've had to wrestle guys that you're. Let's do some math. 30 years older than at least that. And what's the most? I guess what do you get out of this? I mean, you look like you're having fun, win or lose, but I mean, what do you get out of it?
Telling my story. I have an opportunity to every tournament, though my hand is not raised a whole lot. When I leave a tournament, multiple people from all ages have asked me my story, and I've had an opportunity to glorify my Lord. And I leave, and my heavenly coach pats me on the back and says, "Well done, Lester." And I live with that.
The opportunity that the NCWA provides, these are colleges. Liberty they brought the team back, and then they dropped the team, and they've kept the staff intact. They still, it's a club sport. They don't ignore it. But the opportunity that the NCWA provides, a friend of mine, Nate Angle, his dad wrestled at San Jose State when he was in his mid-50s not that long ago. So there is some precedent there. But the opportunity that the NCWA provides, even with eligibility that they have, I mean, what's that mean for somebody like you?
Well, not only for somebody like me, there's so many young people that I coach that don't think they can wrestle in college or don't think they can go to college. And the NCAA gives them that opportunity. There's opportunities for young men and young ladies to wrestle and continue their career and to get an education and to excel. So it's a blessing for sure.
How much has the campus changed since the first time you were there in the 80s to now?
I've gotten lost on campus every summer that I bring my kids to wrestling camp because they're tearing buildings down, putting them up. I've said often, if they had everything available back in the 80s, I probably would have never left college because these kids have it made.
How much has Coach Castro changed over the years?
Coach Castro has been consistent as long as I know him. I've known him. I can sometimes when he's teaching wrestling moves, I can almost envision myself in the mat room in 1985. On the other side, his character, his Christian beliefs, his faith is what brought me back because I just needed some more time with him to learn how to coach, to learn how to be a better man, and to learn how to better glorify my Lord.
I noticed right after the apprentice match, you walked over to Colton Messick, the 125-pounder. He's a NCAA national champion. What'd you say to him?
Well, I had an opportunity to meet Colton's dad yesterday, and it was nice. We chatted a bit, and and I was bragging on his son, and he's a good man. Colton, after taking care of business and getting 6 points for his team, he shook my hand and he says, "I respect what you're doing." And, kids like that are all around the country, and they just need somebody to believe in them and to help them excel, and Colton's done well.
And you have a chance to come into this building, Virginia Duels. You've probably known about the Virginia Duels a long, long time. Coach Castro's been coming here a long time with Liberty and with Kingsway when he was there. But what's it mean to wrestle here in this building, representing the school again?
It was kind of special. It definitely special because I'm looking at all these mats and wrestling just across the mat from some of the top teams in the nation and watching some of the greatest wrestlers in the nation. It's just overwhelming. All I can say is how grateful I am that at 52 and a half years old, I have this opportunity. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. To travel with my team, to hang out with my coach. Sometimes he makes me be his roommate, and we just sometimes he talks to me like a wrestler. Sometimes we're giggling about things from the 80s or talking about gout or whatever's arthritis, whatever's going on in our body.
What's the funniest old nickname or old joking name one of your teammates has called you this season?
They haven't called me any nicknames this season. Back in the day, I was called Muscle Smurf because the Smurfs were very popular, and they had Papa Smurf, Mama Smurf, and I was Muscle Smurf, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, I know I went to ODU for 7 years. They called me Gramps my senior year, and I was only like 24 at the time. Maybe they know better because, you're still in shape. But in terms of shape goes, I mean, what was the weight cut like? I mean, did the weight kind of fall back off when you started getting in shape? What was that process like?
Well,
first of all, when did you start the process?
I'm ashamed because in July I weighed 148. For the first time in my life, I only had one big ab, and
I can relate.
And I procrastinated as typical of my character, and I didn't start really cutting until season started. But that first time making 25, I wrestled 26 in the 80s. Wrestling 25 now, it was serious, and the last day of making weight has been tough. I was up at 5 this morning, losing the last 2 pounds just to weigh in.
So when this whole season's done and said and done, you have a chance to go through the postseason, have a chance to wrestle at national championships. What's next for you after this run of wrestling ends for you?
Well, it's the story's not going the way I had envisioned, and I think God has orchestrated another opportunity. So this is my last tournament this season, and if things fall right, I've got some injuries that I got to have a doctor look at. If things fall right, we can appeal and possibly get half of another season. So, good Lord willing, I'll be helping the team as much as I can. And then next year, I've got a whole year to train for the national championships. And I'm not sure, I couldn't quite understand Colton's dad, but I think Colton's done this year, so wouldn't hurt my feelings a bit to get that young man out of my way.
Yeah, one of my college roommates coached him in high school, so so there's a tie there. But Jeff, it's cool to hear your story, cool to hear the relationship with Coach Castro, who I've got great respect for, and you gained a whole legion of fans here, whether you know it or not.
Well, that's great. I hope next time they see me wrestle, I'm not a novelty and that I'm a competitor. But I'll take it because, and thank you for the opportunity because you've helped me share my story on a bigger level.
The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by Compound Clothing. Shirts, singlets, custom gear orders, everything you need. Call up Cliff and the crew at cmpteamwear.com. Hey, you know what? Did you like the show? You want to hit that subscribe button, mattalkonline.com/listen. Various different ways to subscribe to this show on your favorite podcatcher of choice. And if you're already subscribed and you already listen and you love the show and you want to support this show and this network, mattalkonline.com/join the team. Become a team member today.